When I checked my account history, I found something impossible. Someone had been selling my childhood for 26 years. My first birthday party, learning to ride my bike, my father's laugh. The seller wasn't a hacker. It was my mother. Okay, so imagine finding out that total strangers have been reliving your happiest childhood memory for over 20 years, and you had absolutely no idea. That's not a hypothetical. That's exactly what happened to a woman named Li Wei in Shanghai in the year 2087. Picture the moment first, because this is where it really starts. Li Wei's sitting in a booth at the back of a place called NeuroVault, a thin silver band wrapped around her head. On the other side of the glass, a stranger she's never met is crying, wearing her own 8th birthday like a coat, laughing with her mother's voice, tasting cake from a kitchen he's never set foot in. When it's over, he wipes his eyes and says quietly,
"Thank you. I didn't know I still needed that."
Li Wei just nods. She doesn't know his name. She just knows the money's already in her account, and for the first time in months, she can pay rent without doing the math 3 times first. That's the pitch NeuroVault sells the whole city on. Your memories don't have to die with you. Sell the ones you don't need. Buy the ones you wish you had. It's normal here. Kind of like selling plasma used to be, except way more personal, because instead of blood, you're handing someone a piece of your actual inner life. Li Wei's 34, a single mom, and she even works for NeuroVault, cleaning up corrupted memory files during the day. Her son's school fees are due at the end of the month, and she's already done the math twice and come up short both times. So when they offer premium rates for anything tagged Authentic Joy, she doesn't think twice. She sits for the scan, sells a happy memory, and feels for once like the tech's actually on her side. "That's it?" she asks the technician when the band comes off. 11 minutes and it's just gone from me now?
Not gone,
He says, not really looking up from his screen.
licensed. You still remember it. You just don't own it anymore.
He slides a small card across the counter.
Every memory comes with a resonance thread.
He explains.
It's a messaging channel between buyer and source, both directions. Most people who buy a memory end up wanting to say thank you to whoever it came from, and some sources write back. Names stay hidden on both ends, company policy, but the words go through.
So strangers can just message me forever.
Pretty much. Most people never even check the thread. But it's there.
She doesn't think much of the distinction at the time. Later, she'll think about nothing else. Then the messages start.
"Thank you for letting me borrow your mother's hands."
One woman writes her out of nowhere. Li Wei blinks at the screen. Wrong file, she figures. Glitch in the system. She almost deletes it. But then another one lands, and this one stops her cold. Someone thanking her for the smell of her grandmother's kitchen, describing the exact wallpaper pattern behind the birthday cake, a detail Li Wei had practically forgotten until a total stranger handed it back to her. That memory was never for sale. She never logged it. She never told anyone. A third message comes in that same week. Someone she's never heard of, describing the exact sound of her father's laugh at the dinner table, a sound Li Wei hasn't thought about in years and definitely never recorded. "Who are you?" she types back, hands shaking slightly. "How do you know that?" No reply. Just a small notice underneath the thread. Sender identity protected under buyer confidentiality. So she goes down to NeuroVault and asks the clerk for her full account history. "Everything," she says. "Every memory that's ever been listed under my name." The clerk hesitates. "You sure?" "I'm sure." He hands it over, and Li Wei has to read the first line 3 times before it actually makes sense. Sales dated 26 years earlier. Before she could even write her own name. Her 8th birthday, her first day of school, her father teaching her to ride a bike down by the canal. All of it, sold over and over to different strangers, for 2 decades, without her ever once being asked. Her parents sold her childhood, not their memory of raising her. hers. She barely remembers the walk to their apartment that night. She just remembers standing in the doorway, holding the printout, saying, "Did you even think about what this would do to me?" Her mother goes quiet for a second. Then, "You were alive. That's what I thought about. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have." Turns out, when Li Wei was a kid, her mother got sick. The kind of sick where you either find the money or you don't, and NeuroVault's reps had gone door to door in the poorer districts offering fast cash for what they called high-value emotional assets, which is just a fancy way of saying your daughter's. Happiness. "We saved your life," her father says quietly, like that settles it. "By selling mine," Li Wei says back. Nobody in that room has a clean answer because maybe both things are true at once. Maybe they saved her. And maybe they still took something from her that was never theirs to give away. "Would you do it again?" Li Wei asks, quieter now. Her mother doesn't hesitate. "Every time." Li Wei doesn't know what to do with an answer that honest. She leaves without saying goodbye and spends the whole ride home replaying it, trying to decide if it makes her feel better or worse that her mother isn't even sorry. She asks NeuroVault to track down the most recent buyer, the man from the booth, still out there somewhere wearing her past like a coat, and eventually the company agrees to what they call a resonance meeting, buyer and source, face-to-face. He's older than she expects, quiet in the specific way that only comes from one kind of loss. "I had a daughter," he tells her before she can even ask. "She would have turned 8 the same month your memory was recorded." Li Wei doesn't say anything. She never got to blow out candles, never got a bike, never tasted cake at anyone's grandmother's table. He looks at her, steady. "I didn't buy your memory because I wanted to feel like you. I bought it because it was the closest I was ever going to get to feeling like a father again." And there it is, the twist that gets me every time I think about it. Her stolen childhood, his only way back to being a dad. Same 11 minutes of code, holding two completely different kinds of truth. "I could ask them to delete it," Li Wei says quietly. "Take it off the market. You'd never have it again." He looks at her for a long moment. "You could," he says. "I wouldn't blame you." She thinks about it, really thinks about it, sitting across from a man who's been living inside her happiest day for months without her knowing. And in the end, she can't bring herself to do it. Taking it back now would just be a second loss stacked on top of the first, except this time she'd be the one causing it on purpose. She lets him keep it. But she locks her data down that same week so nothing gets taken from her again without her knowing. And somewhere on that same server, right now, some other kid's happiest memory is being lived by a stranger who has no idea it was never theirs. So here's what I keep coming back to. If you found out someone else was living your happiest memory tonight without asking you, would you want it back? Even if giving it up is the only thing keeping someone else's grief bearable? Genuinely, what would you do?